Affinity Photo has a wonderful displace filter. It also has a great live displace filter as well. And I was asked about this. I thought, okay, I will run through a lot of different examples with different effects. Now the effect you can see here is actually created using a live effect. So I'm just going to run through a number of possible ways of using this. So let's just go right back to the start and display an image. I'm going to start with this background image, obviously, of a ruler or tape, I suppose. So once you've done that, what you can then do is just simply select it, then go to layer and down here to new live filter layer and go down here to distort, and you see you've got a number of options, and there it is, displace. So select that. Straight away what happens, it creates a displacement map. I'm not certain why I just didn't call it displace, but it's called displacement map, and that uses the layer below. Now at the moment there's no layer below, so not going to be anything. So if I just go here and change the strength, load map. Now I'm not going to use this option, load map from file. That's another great way of creating all kinds of designs. But you can see as you do strength, all it will do in this case is just move it up and down. Now I think it's one of the disappointments with this filter is that it doesn't offer an option to go that way or other directions. For some weird reason, they've just gone for strength in that direction. I think an option for rotation would be a brilliant addition. But still, you'll notice one difference between the normal displace and this one, live filter layer. You've got opacity, and also you've got blend modes, which are really useful. And also you've got this preserve alpha. So let's just go and I'm just going to undo that. I'm just going to use this image as a displacement. So layer and duplicate. You could of course use literally anything, and I'm going to go through lots of different examples. So background. Now at the moment it's not going to do particularly that great. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'll just show you. So background, gain layer, and go down here to new live filter, distort and displace. And what you can then do is you can modify the strength, gain. Always remember to click load map. Now, unfortunately, another thing that I think would be really nice in this would be an auto update. Basically, it should remember that you load map from layers beneath in the last time you've used it. It should remember it, and also it should remember to actually just auto update, because you might update the layers below, and it would be nice if it did it. Of course, you can just simply click and you can see what happens. And that's just using the image itself to create. And again, you can modify the strength. And you can see as you do that, just drag that back and forth. Now, one thing about the various filters like this, you can actually add multiple live displaces. So I could have not just one, I could have 10 or 15 to create all kinds of unusual effects. But for most of this example, I'll be just using a single displace. And there you can see that. Well, let's just do a little bit more with it now. You can also go down here. You've got blend modes. So if you want, you can reduce it down. So you can see you can put it down to virtually nothing, say 5%, or you can go the other way. Now you'll notice there's another issue here. You've got some unusual gaps there. You can also click here, preserve, and you'll see this result. You may prefer the other option. So just try it out, which one you prefer. So just scale it there, the strength. You can also modify that, but obviously it's the same size, so it's not going to make any difference. So now let's just go down to blend modes, and you've got darken, hard mix, it's quite a nice one. Hue, now some obviously don't have any effect at all, but say contrast, they are glow, contrast negative, reflect, negation, but glow's quite a nice one. So let's just go with that. You could use any of the others, perfectly reasonable. So let's just close it. Now, if I expand this out, go over here, you can see your displacement map there. Now, I find sometimes just click there and that comes up. Now, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I have to double click. Then sometimes it seems to ignore completely. Should be just a simple click, just there, to bring this up. But it might require a double click. Sometimes just hoping that it will come up is enough, I think. But it does eventually appear, this panel. However, obviously I've made no change, so I don't want it at this point. What I need to do is just go here to this background. I can modify the background, so I can create something else. Now, with the filter displace, I've never found it particularly works well with layers beneath. It says layers beneath. Sometimes it seems to be okay, I think. But I found when I use the live filter, it seems to be far more reliable with that feature. So generally I always stick with the live one and then create with multiple layers. But there are definitely some quirks with it that I cannot understand why it doesn't seem to do what I expect it should do. So now let's just distort this. So filters, distort, and you could of course use all kinds of things. Let's just go for deform. It's always a good one. And add some pins. Now at the moment obviously you can't see it because it's below thing, but I'm just doing a quick effect. Now you can see the effect because of course cutting through at the top, you can actually see there is some distortion. Let's just distort it a bit more. I don't know what the result is. Could be good, could be bad. I've just applied it. You can see it there in a very tiny little thumbnail. If I clear that, you can see the displacement I'm going to use. So you've got that. Well, what you can then do is just go back here to the background. Again, just click there. It seems to be generally clicked, but I say sometimes it doesn't respond at all. But unfortunately, it doesn't live update. Again, you have to always remember to click Load Map from Layers Beneath, and then you'll see the result. I say it would be nice if there's an auto feature. Don't know why that wasn't added. Make it so much easier. And again, you can go for preserve. You can see the black there, or not. Just close that. Right. Well, you can again change the strength. You can see as you move it backwards and forwards, you can see your distortion. You can see the lines there. Now, the result may or may not be what you want. So close that. Now, of course, I've removed that now. I've sort of corrupted it by using that because it's a filter. It's obviously destructive. It's gone. But of course, I can always undo. So let's just undo it. And you can see as I do that, you'd think that this one would update. Yeah, it's back to what it was. So I've got it as the original. What you can then do is go here to filters, and I'm going to apply it to that. Make certain you select the layer, and then go to filters, blur, and Gaussian blur. And I'm just going to apply a blur, a pretty intense blur. So it's just going to go with 98, 95, and again, so you can see what the result will be. This is what I'm going to be using. So again, going back here, then just click there. Again, the panel pops up. Wish it would pop up and place where I always place it, which is about there, not right down there. Then what you can do, again, load map from layers beneath. And you can see this time it creates a bit more of a melted effect. And again, you can go through these. Maybe you might find that it works nicer with one of the others. You can always try them out. Hard mix and so on. You can see and create literally millions of different designs. And close that again. Well, what you can also do is, again, like I said, you can actually have multiple layers. So let's just go and create another layer. A real good one. Just start with, say, a circle, just a shape. So just create shape. Now, at the moment, you can't see it. It's just here, just above that background. Doesn't matter, particularly, obviously, the location. And you can change the colour. So you can click here, maybe just experiment with the colour. It does have an effect. So just move it around, maybe go with like red, and then go back here, then click here, and again, bring this panel up, and again, load map from layers beneath. As mentioned, it should work, but I find quite often when I've done it with the other one, it doesn't seem to do it. I'm not certain why, maybe it's just me. Load map from layers beneath, and you can see this time it does. Now it's very sharp, it's a shape. Obviously the shape, you can see the shape all the way around, and again, you can modify that, so you can see, you can create some very interesting effects by having that layer. So just close that. Well, what you can also do, of course, is you can go to layer and you can duplicate it. Now, one thing you can also do is use the option that you've got a move feature here. Just go here. It works, but it doesn't always get the result you think you might expect because, of course, it doesn't vary the colour, the brightness, etc. So which means it's not so useful. I I mean, you can still obviously go and change the colour at any point. And I'm just going to change that now. So let's just change it to, say, yellow. Maybe move it over there. And now you can see it's obviously a bit lighter there. And also I'm going to change the size. So just reduce the size down. Just want to do that. And I'll position it there. Now go back to the background. Now with the displacement map, again, just click here. Again, luckily this time it does seem to do in this tutorial, but I have actually, as I double clicked it a few times, seems to respond to that. Single click should be. Now you can see then it's still as was before, because of course you have to use load map from layers beneath. Now you can see now you've got this secondary one. So you can see now, because of course it's slightly different, the displacement strength applied is slightly different. And you can just move that back and forth, and you can create some very interesting designs simply by creating, maybe having 15 circles, all with different brightness. And you push it up to the strength, going that way, see the effect there. So close that again, and of course you could continue. So you go here and add more, etc. Let's just remove those. Well, actually, no, let's just go with this ellipse. Instead of using sharp, you can always go to filters, blur, and maybe go for Gaussian blur. You could use it across another one as well. And you can see now I've blurred it. Now I'm going to go for a bit more of a blur than that, maybe 200. Push it to 200, click apply. And you can see the blur effect there. Just very small, but you can see it. So again, go back to the background here, and exact same as before. Click here, bring up the panel, put that over there, load map from layers beneath, and this time you can see the effect is slightly different. Now it's not so obvious that you can see that. In fact, I'd be struggling to say that I can see it. So that circle doesn't seem to be having now any actual effect since I've applied that blur to it. It's one of those quirky things. Now let's just close that, and I'm going to remove the background. So the only thing that's actually going to be used is this pixel layer. So background, and that's all you need to do. Just make certain you just click here so it's not being used. So there, pixel, with that, still there, and go to background, double click or click, and now load map. And now you can see it more noticeable. Very strange, even though it still actually looks quite sharp. So there are, I'm just pointing this out, there are some odd quirks with the Displace filter, with the live light, as well as the other one as well. It does have some very odd, strange results. However, let's just go from that. But I wanted to point that out. So let's just remove it. You can just simply delete it, and you've still got this background one here. Now, what you can do, of course, with the background, you might decide, well, I can use it as a pattern. So you've got this design, go to layer and go to new pattern layer from selection. And then you can, of course, resize that pattern. Now, I don't want that one. So remove that. Now, unfortunately, I can't see it, so let's just remove that. So you can see the pattern there. There's the pattern. Now, you might want to go up here to mirror, but original as well. And you can also, of course, distort this as well. So just go to filters, go here to distort, deform, and create all kinds of weird and wonderful distortions of this. Though that would introduce, obviously, some gaps there. But let's just go with that. Perfectly reasonable. And you can rotate it, resize it. And what you can do, again, go back to this one, click here, bring up the panel, and again, load map from layers beneath. Now, at the moment, of course, you can't see it, so let's just get rid of that. Yeah, at least it's back again. At least it allows you to access this while this is live, something that many tools, applications don't allow. So now you can see the result of that gap. You can see, obviously, that transparency there. So you can change the scale, and you can see you can create some very interesting design. Now, what you can also do, let's go to pattern. You'd think you'd be able to. Unfortunately, you can't. Does seem to go. Would be nice if you could access it while with the panel. Doesn't seem to. You can access certain things like this, but not everything. So this pattern, just want to resize it. So let's just resize that pattern, make it very small. So you can see if I do that, you can see the design now. And of course, if I could see it, here it is. Does make it quite tiny. Let's just rotate it around. You can change the angle, maybe squeeze it like that so it's sharp, sort of straight lines diagonally. Then again, go to background, put it on again. Go to displace map, double click again or single click. And load map. And you can see now the result of that to create all kinds of different distortions. Now it's not brilliant. It's not, I would maybe have it slight, and I'm not really keen on this gap going through. But still you can see you can use patterns. Now what you can also do, let's just close that again. You can always remove this, of course. So just delete that. Maybe decide, well, what else can I use? Other layers. Well, there's pen tool. Just go to pen tool, never find it. There's node and pen tool. So pen tool, and then I can just click. Now, of course, I can't see what I'm creating particularly. So I'm just going to create a random shape. And because of that, I probably can't see how to close it. Needs to be closed, I think. Can't be just a line. So let's just go create, basically all over the place. Let's just create random things. Now, you don't want to fill the entire image. But now, if you want to, you can go here. You've got actions along the top. When you're using the pen tool, you've got this option. So you've got here to split. Use it close curve. That's what I want. So close curve. So it's closed instead of trying to look for the first node. Now you'll notice here the fill is got nothing in. So just click there and let's go for blue or whatever. And you can see, of course, you can see below there. But now you can use this curve here. So background, go here. Again, click here or double click. I say click should work. I say it has a mind of its own whether it does or not sometimes. And you can see you can vary these, of course, but also you can go load map from layers beneath. And now you can see what happens. Creates a weird sort of shattered, weird sort of unusual effect using that. Now it's not always super effective. You may fill the entire image and you might get not particularly a great result. I've done this a few times. Sometimes you get a really nice effect. Sometimes it doesn't look so great at all. And of course you can change that. You can go the other direction. Like I say, it would be nice if you could go multiple directions. And again, you can say change the blend modes. Let's just change those, negation or maybe reflect. And you can see the effect there and close. Now you can always, of course, change the curve. You always go to this curve and you can see the curve. Just go down here. No tool. You might decide, you know what, I want that to be like there. Now I can't see the shape. Obviously I can just see it here, but it's not the easiest to edit a path without actually seeing it. But you can move them around, or maybe hover over there and you can create obviously a curve design. So just hover there again, or maybe add a point there. Drag. I'm just doing a few of those just to create some obviously slight variations there. And you can see you can create a curve design. Again, go back to the background, click, brings up live displace, load maps from layers beneath, and then you can see it just changes. And this time you can see a bit of curve there. You can see the curve for that design. So you can use the pen tool to create some truly interesting, weird and wonderful shapes. Close that. What you can also do, let's just remove that now, but you can see literally infinite amount of curves could be added there. So just remove that. I'm going to use ellipse. You could use, or maybe rectangle. Let's go for rectangle. Drag down, create one. And what you can do, you can hold down don't release at this point, the mouse. Leave that locked and then press the right arrow key. And you can see you can create multiple of these designs. What you can also do is hold it down. So hold down the shift with the right arrow, not clicking it. So just hold it down. There's no shift key at all involved. Just hold it down, the right arrow key, and you can see it just creates a bit of a gap between those. And you can also use the same with let's just go with the down arrow key. And you can see you can create some more. Now again, do exactly the same, hold down the key, the down arrow key, and that will create a gap. Now you've got all these. Well, now you've got all those, you think, let's just go here, the background. Now I've found in tests that sometimes it does do it, sometimes it doesn't, so I'm just running with it. So again, displacement map, click that. Load map from layers beneath. It does. So it uses all those layers beneath. So you can create literally all kinds of grids. Like I say, I have done this a few times in trial runs during obviously pre-tutorial tests, and it does do it. And then sometimes it decides not to do it. You can create all these layers. It just ignores it. So it's quite odd. But in this case, it does work. Now, another option, of course, is you can always select all these rectangles, select them all, and then, of course, you can always go here to Layer and down here to Geometry and Add. So you add them all into one single curve. And, of course, you can use the same. You can, like say, resize this. Now, go to the Move tool and resize it, maybe create something like that at that position. Maybe hold down the Alt Option key and just drag. And that's creating another set and another set. So you should have 3. Again, background, displacement map, click on that, and again, load map from layers beneath. And you can see then you can create obviously a far more intense line design with obviously multiple of these rectangles. And of course you can still change the reflect blend mode, just run through it and you can see, maybe go with that effect, luminosity, to create something like that. And close. So you've got that, you can go curves, remove all those. Just going to bring back the background. So you've got that, again go here, click on this, and again, load map from layers beneath. Well, what you can also do is you can combine them. So obviously you've got here, you've got this thing. You could also go for maybe displace map and duplicate that. So let's just right click and duplicate. And you can see it's got 2 now to create an even more intense effect. Or maybe right click, duplicate. And you can see you can create this sort of like melty effect. Now they're independent now. So you could, if you want, just click there. See what I mean? Click this. It's weird. I knew it would do it. This is the thing, you click it, and then sometimes it does. Sometimes you can click it, and it just ignores you. Very odd. Maybe it doesn't require a double click, it just ignores the first click. That's probably the reason. And you can see now I can change the strength. So I can go the other way. So you can see I can just push it that way. Obviously the other ones, if I go to those, let's just close that one. Go here and again, click that one. And you can see then I can change that. And you can create literally all kinds of combinations. We say 3 or 4 of these or 10 of them. Now, I don't know if you can, let's just say select that one. And you would think you could be, if you've got the move tool, press turn, move and duplicate. So you can actually duplicate those. So let's just try it. I don't know. They are. Let's number of copies. So 1, 2, yeah. So you can actually use that to create something. I didn't know you could do that, to be honest. Haven't tried that. I was wondering if it was going to work or not. And that's a great thing about going through some of these videos. Sometimes when you're trying it, you think, oh, you know what? Maybe it could work. Maybe multiple. Now also, let's just try it. Now, rotation shouldn't have any effect, I would have thought. Can't see, because the effect obviously doesn't rotate that. All it does is duplicate, and likewise scale. I could try and, in fact, doesn't seem to let you do the scale at all. Lets you rotate, but doesn't seem to do anything. Horizontal, likewise horizontal. It purely generates the duplicate of the thing. The position of it is irrelevant. But I thought I'd just quickly try it. And again, you can go number of copies and click OK. And you can see now, should do it, should create them. Yes, it's created them all. Now, I'm going to undo this because I think it probably caused the machine to go quite slow. But you can see you can create some interesting designs and they can all be then edited individually. So undo that. And you can also just simply just delete them. So just go delete it, delete, just using the standard delete key. So you can see you can create some. But of course, that displacement map there using this, didn't have to use that image. So if I get rid of that, and again, go back to see something else, or bring in another image, or maybe go up to layer, and new layer. This time, edit and fill. Let's just fill it with primary color blue, just as good as anything. Click apply. Maybe go to brush, And let's just apply a brush stroke. Yep, just want to see. Let's go for red. I'm just doing random brush strokes. Obviously, I can't see what I'm doing, so I'm just randomly brushing different direction. Let's just change colour a bit, change things. Yeah, just random sort of. Just want to show you, you can also just very quickly create a new design using brushes. So again, go here to the background. Then go here, displace map, click that again. And this time, load map from layers beneath. And you can see then what's happened. You create this effect very quickly using brush strokes. Now, of course, I don't know what brush I was using, acrylics. Could be anything. Maybe I could have done fine sort of lines with a pencil tool or all the kinds of different brushes you've got in Affinity Photo. And of course, you can modify this. Now, another thing, exactly the same as before. What you can do, you can always go here and you can modify this. So you can always go to filters, blur, Gaussian blur. Now at this point, I'm going for about 38, blurred it. Also, I can go here again, displace map. So again, select that, click that, and just use this low map from layers beneath. And you can see the result of that blurring creates a much more sort of oozy sort of effect. But as before, what you can do, right click and duplicate. So you can duplicate to create again a nice oozy effect. And again, you can always just click there. Again, it ignores me. Click, yes. This time it decides to come up. You can then low map from layers beneath. Obviously, it's using that. And you can see then you can modify that. And again, you can change blend mode. So let's just change that. So you can create all kinds of weird and wonderful combinations with different displacement maps. Different, obviously, the same displacement map here, but with different settings like different blend modes, etc., as well as different strengths. And you can, of course, then right click, duplicate that. And again, double click, I should say. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you can see then you can move that, modify that, and so on. Literally all kinds of different designs can be created. And again, you go for lighten, maybe linear burn, to create some very weird and wonderful, very painted-like effects. Now, I'm using the same image, of course, here with this pixel one. I can again go to filters. I can go here and let's just go for, no, not diffuse blur. I want to filter, distort, and mirror. Just select that. Select one of these. Number of mirrors, and you can see it creates obviously a different design there. And you can change input and click apply. So again, you can go here. Now, what you can do, click on this, and again, modify load map from layers beneath. And you can see then the result of that mirror effect is being added. But also the other filters, the other displacement maps, are still using the old one. So they're not updated. Maybe that's the one reason why they didn't add an automatic update feature. Because in some cases, you might not want it to do, but you should be able to have that feature and you could be able to deselect or not. So it would always use the old one instead of using it in the updated. But still, you can see then you've got a combination of this sort of design with this background image. Now, this pixel layer, I could use a gradient, of course. Gradient is a great one. You can also use adjustment layers. So let's just go and use an adjustment. So I've got this background here selected. It's got a bit of a twirl effect applied. Well, what I can now do is I can go over here to layer and now to new adjustment layer. Because I want it as a layer because the thing is I can edit it. If you just apply it as normal with an adjustment or apply color effects, maybe by persona, that's it. It's a destructive effect. With these live layers, it's really useful because you can always change them. So gradient map. So let's just go for that. And the gradient map is now applied there. And I can modify this. Now, of course, it has no effect at the moment, but let's just close that. With that, I can now go here to this displacement map. And I can just click there again. And I can just go down here to low maps from layers beneath. And you can see the result of that. It distorts it in a particular way. So you can see the distortion there. It's got the twirl and that effect there. However, I can also just go back now to the gradient map. So let's just go to the gradient map and I can again click and I can bring this up. I must admit, I always find it annoying that you can't move this. I'm always trying to move that. I always go to it, try and move it. It doesn't. So, and you can see you can just change this. Let's just add a few. Now, unfortunately, one feature that always slightly annoys me with this is no swatches feature. I would love if it had access to all the swatches, because you have to just go through it and create a gradient each and every time. Seems to be a bit of a fiddly way of working. But you can see I can add some stops, something like that, to create a slightly different design. This is gradient map. I can now, it's applied above that again, but I can go here to the background. So go there, click there on Displace map. Now this time, load map from layers beneath. You can see the result of changing that. I haven't changed the background, but I've changed the adjustment to it. So it actually modifies the design. It's obviously subtle changes, but you can use adjustments to create some really truly unusual different effects. And of course, what you can also do is you've got this adjustment. You can always, of course, add other ones. So maybe layer, go to new adjustment, maybe go with black and white. So black and white, and you can then say modify this, tweak that, change yellow, again, back to this, click there, and again, load map from layers beneath. And you can see the result of that. Again, haven't changed the image below, but by changing these adjustments, you've altered the actual end result. And close. And of course, exactly the same as before, you can always right click and you can duplicate that to create a more intense displacement. And of course, click that and then bring this up, and you can always go and change the strength and modify other settings, maybe go the other direction, so on. So you can create literally all kinds of different design, multiple displacements, multiple different adjustments. And you can always remove it, of course. Click there. Then this point now, just again, click there and load map from layers beneath. And you can see by just removing one, the result changes. Now, the other displace map is still using this black and white. This one isn't. So close that. And you can see the result of that. So all kinds of different ones can be created using adjustments. So let's just remove these now. Let's just remove that one, remove that. Now, what you can also do is you can use type or text. Obviously, in Affinity Photo, it's text, even though I always call it type. You can use frame text tool. Now, make certain you've got the layers active. I've done this a few times running through it, and I've ended up confusing myself all over the place with this. So what you need to do, just simply drag this, and with that, you can fill it, of course. You can go here to text, insert filler text. So you can, of course, change the font and all those sort of things. So you've got this. Now, of course, it's been applied above. Now, this is the problem with this. Make certain that you actually place it in the right place. Just down there. Now, so you can see I've actually added in the wrong place. And that I just wanted to point this out. Undo. It's very easy with the way layers work in Affinity Photo. Very powerful. But unfortunately, sometimes because of the way it's done, it can end up not working particularly in the way you think it does. So I'm just trying to drag it below. It's got the background and that. So now it's not tucked away inside this, which is not of any use. You don't want it as a mask, etc. So now with this, what I can now do is I can go to the background again, click there, and again bring this up, and I can go here to load map from layers beneath. And you can see that the text has absolutely no effect whatsoever. Very odd. Now, if I go to filter text and I go to filters and I go to blur, obviously apply a filter effect to it, so blur. So there's blur, let's just, I don't want too much of a blur, just subtle blur, and apply. Now, this is a pixel layer. You'd think, let's just go up here. Theoretically, it should still work. So click, it's just a standard layer. Again, load map from layers beneath. And has an effect. Now, let's just try it. Maybe the order does make a difference here. So let's just drag this up. Right. And now, let's just see it's all on the right level. Yep. So pixel, let's go down there again. Don't want that to do that. Displace, load map from layers beneath. Yes. It's odd, isn't it? Why does the text have to be above? Shouldn't make any difference. If it works on the basis that it has an effect for all of them, to have it above or below shouldn't really make any difference. But clearly it does. But it's strange, but I thought it would work. But you can create, therefore, you can see some interesting effects. I must admit, I have struggled trying to get this to work. And so I hadn't thought about that until just that point. But I just put it like that. Below it doesn't seem to work. Also, if you get it accidentally inside the background, not very effective either. So you can use text as well. And of course you can distort that text. So you've got this text, or maybe go for pixel there, maybe hold down the Alt Option key, drag, create multiple text. So multiple, now back to the background, click here, displacement map, and again, load map from layers beneath. And you can see then even more intense text. Close. And of course, you can always, with this pixel layer, you can always, or text layer, you can always rotate it. Let's go for this one and this one here. Maybe resize it, reposition it, rotate it, and so on. Create different designs. Again, go up in the background, click here, and again, load map from layers beneath. And you can see then you get this text at diagonals as well as text that are sort of on top of it, each other, to create some very unusual effects there. And of course you can still go here, large displacement, go different blend modes, maybe go difference, exclusion, negation, reflect, etc. and close. So all kinds of different designs, and there's probably even more features that you can explore with this displacement map feature and combine. And just going to get rid of that one, get rid of that one, and get rid of that one. And you can also, of course, use it with just a basic artistic text as well. So let's just create a layer of just A. And with that, just drag that out. You see the A there. And again, it's above the other one. Now, I wonder if it works if it's below. Maybe that doesn't work either. So background, click displacement map, and now, again, load map from layer beneath. And you can see the A there. So that does work that way. Now, let's just try it. It's nice to just try it, just put it below. Just go to background, click, and load map from layers beneath. Now, for some weird reason, that A is ignored. And yet other layers, it seems to be happy with. Maybe it's the transparency. I don't know. But it's just odd. To me, that A should still have an effect. But it doesn't. Very strange. Well, let's just move back up again. And of course, you can always duplicate this A. So this A, or apply effects to it. You might not want it like that. You might go to filters, blur, and Gaussian blur. And of course, you could always change the font as well. That's perfectly reasonable. Change all different things. And let's just go there and click apply. Now you can see that is in the wrong place because you can actually still see it. Because it's below that background, you shouldn't be able to see it. So let's just drag that down. And now you can't see it. Go to background, displacement map, and again, load map from layers beneath. And you can see the A just about. Because you've applied that blur, it's created a bit of an unusual distortion there as well. And again, you can run through these and you can see sometimes the A better in some blend modes. Oh, something like that. Using, this time, luminosity. And that's a run through of some of the options of live filter. And of course, what you can do with these filters, you can always use other ones. So you've got here layer, new live filter, layer, distort. You've also got ripple, twirl, spherical, etc. Punt, liquefy, all those to combine. So you could have 3 or 4 different layers of those effects, all distorting your image. And of course, you can also use any background image. You can just obviously just copy an image in and just use that. Or, of course, click there again, double click. Sometimes double click, sometimes not. You can always use the load map from file. Again, I've always found that that one doesn't always seem to respond well. I've loaded files and it just ignores them. So that's why I generally use the load map. I found that more consistently working than the load map from file, which has a mind of its own, I find. Maybe again, it's just me using this filter. So that's it, a run through of the. Please let me know about your opinions about the filter, the live filter layer and Displace. Have you had issues with it? Have you found it a really useful tool? Do you find it very useful for obviously modifying with the background, changing things, modifying with different layers? What sort of issues have you had with it? And also, any other great ideas you can use with this filter? It'd be really nice to know. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Also, please subscribe. Always have new tutorials all the time. Bye.